Hello students, today I am going to discuss about the topic attribute selector, which is the part of the subject web designing cases 052. So in this video I am going to discuss about attribute selector. First we understand what is the attribute. In every HTML tag, we have some attributes like we have an input tag. So if you write the input tag here, input, and write the attribute name, type equal to text. So here input is HTML element and this type is attribute. Generally, we are applying the CSS in HTML tags. This time we are going to apply the CSS with the help of the attributes. So we'll take the consideration of attributes of any HTML elements for applying the CSS. Example is there. Suppose I want to apply the CSS for the type attribute. So type attribute is the part of the input tag. So we have taken the input tag here and give the name of the attribute here type, and that if the value of the type is text, then the color of the text will be this one. So we are applying the CSS with the help of selecting the attribute and its respective value. This is an example. There are many rules for applying the CSS in attributes of the HTML that I'm going to discuss. Now the first rule is just give the name of the attribute. It is just a representation. So if you give the name of the attribute, the CSS will be applied accordingly. For example, we have a tag anchor and we have given the title attribute. Suppose we have an anchor tag A and title attribute is mentioned with some message. So this CSS color will be purple, will be applicable on this anchor tag because the title attribute is mentioned in this anchor tag. If we have the same simple anchor tag without any title attribute here, so the color equal to purple, this CSS will not applicable on this anchor tag. It will be applicable on this anchor tag. So whenever the title tag will be present in anchor tag, this CSS will be applied. So here you can see that we are applying the CSS on the basis of attribute, not on the basis of HTML tag. So this is important. Generally, we have a habit of applying the CSS in HTML elements. So here it is a new thing. We are going to apply the CSS on the basis of attribute of the HTML elements. If you look for the second rule suggests that we have an attribute name and we are giving a particular value. So for example, again we have taken the example of anchor tag. Here the name of the attribute href and the value of this href is example.org. So if we have a anchor tag with href equal to, and we have given the value is example.org, or I am just writing in example.org. So this color equal to green. This CSS will be applicable on this anchor tag because value of href is example.org. Now suppose we have taken one more anchor tag with href equal to, for example, AKGEC.org. So this CSS is not applicable on this anchor tag. So here you can understand that whenever the href is present in both the anchor tag, but the value is different. So we have given the value example.org. So CSS will be applicable only in the anchor tag where the value of href is example.org. So we have two rules in this slide. The first rule, only the name of the attribute is mentioned irrespective of any value. Here value will not matter. In this first rule, the value will not matter. In the second rule, value will matter because we have given the value to the attribute. So if the attribute is present and respective value is present, then only the CSS will be applicable. Next, we have the rule of give the name of the attribute and put the star here and give a value here. So putting the star will give a information that at least one occurrence of a particular value should be present. So if you have given a value, the value must be present at least one time. Then this CSS will be applicable. Here you can see by applying this rule, this is an example. Name of the attribute is href and we have given the star and the value is equal to example. Meaning is whenever we are creating the link, example anywhere in the URL. So we have given the URL, anywhere in the URL we have the example word, then this attribute, this CSS will be applicable, background color will be silver. Second is here example in the lowercase, so it must match with the lowercase letter. Now we have make our comparison case insensitive. So we are just putting the flag I here. Just see here, flag I is mentioned. It is called flag. It is called flag. So if you write after the value I, it represents that the value is case insensitive. So the href consists of a URL, and in this URL at least one occurrence of example is present, then this CSS color equal to cyan will be applicable. Second, if you want to make it ensure that the capitalization must be there, then we can use the S flag here. S flag, whenever the capital character is mentioned in a particular value, then href will be, if href consists of at least one occurrence of CASE, where A is capital, E is capital. If any value of href consists of this word with the capital of A and capital of B, then this CSS color equal to pink will be applicable. So by the third rule is we are using the star. In summary, star represent that whatever the value you have given at least must be present one time. That is, at least one occurrence of value must be present in a string, the string which is given in the href. Fourth rule, we are giving the dollar symbol. So dollar represent that a value must be suffixed by a value. So we have given an example. Href is the name of the attribute, and we are putting the dollar here, represent that any URL that has suffix, or you can say ended with .org, the color will be red. So we are applying the CSS on the basis of href attribute, putting a condition that end of the URL must be .org. In that case, color will be red. This is the fourth rule. Fifth rule is we are using the caret symbol, attribute and value. So caret symbol represent that the value must be prefixed by a value. So here you can look the example. We have an anchor tag, and we are applying both the condition of caret symbol and dollar symbol, that is prefix symbol and suffix symbol in this our href attribute. So we are using href caret symbol HTTPS, meaning is that any URL must be start with the HTTPS. This word must be present at the starting. That caret symbol is ensuring this. Then URL must be ended with .org. So this example represents that the color will be green for only URL where the starting of the URL is HTTPS and end of the URL is .org. So this rule, a dollar symbol is used for the suffix purpose and caret symbol is used for the prefix purpose. Next, we have a thread symbol. This represents that attribute must be safe. Value of the attribute should be space separated. If the value has space separated list of word, then one value must be matched with the value which is given here. So you can see the example here. We have a title. Title is the name of the attribute. Now we have not given the HTML tag here. There is no HTML tag is mentioned here. represent that in any HTML tag we have a title attribute, then this rule will be applicable. And after this title attribute, we have the tilde symbol. Its meaning is a title consists of a list of words. In that word, the word flower must be present. If the flower is present, then the rule of CSS border equal to 5 pixels solid yellow will be applicable. Now you can see we have taken the image tag, and remember we have not given the image tag here. Meaning is title tag will be applicable in all type of tags whenever the title attribute is applicable. Even though in this example we have taken only one tag, which is image tag, img tag, and this is the title attribute. So in the title attribute we have a list of words. It is space separated. Space is mentioned here. And now this is the word. Even though there is only one word, so there is no meaning of list of words space separated. So this CSS rule border 5 pixels solid yellow, it will be applicable on the first and second tag. This CSS will not applicable on the third tag. The reason is the flower word is not present here. So you can see here we have given a rule for CSS in which the attribute title must be present, and this tilde symbol is representing that the value of title must consist of the word. The name of the word is flower, and again important part is the title may have more than one words. That words must be space separated. So this is the good example. We have two words here. Both the words are space separated, but the flower word is mentioned here as a second word. So the CSS border 5 pixels solid yellow will be applicable in this tag also. In this second, even though there is no list of words, only one word is mentioned. So flower is mentioned here. So this CSS will be applicable in this second tag also. But this CSS is not applicable in the third tag. The reason is the word which is given in this value is tree, and we are looking for the flower. So this CSS is applicable only in the tag where the value of the title should be flower. So it is not applicable in this tag. So you can see by looking these rules how it is easy to apply the CSS with the help of attributes. Generally we are applying the CSS with the help of HTML tags. So I am just giving the emphasis. You can apply the CSS with the help of HTML attributes also. Next is the pipe symbol. So it is used to, first important part, the value must be hyphen separated. Remember, earlier the example is space separated. Now here is I am talking about the hyphen separated. If you are using the pipe symbol, so the list of words should be hyphen separated, beginning with the specified. So you can specify the value. Value can be whole word or it can be followed by a hyphen. See the example. Now we have given class is the name of attribute. Again, we have not given any HTML tag here. So whenever you write the class, this attribute will be applicable. Now in this attribute, we have h1 tag, p tag, p tag. Just see, we have not given h1 and p tag. So the class, we are applying the CSS only in the attribute, not on the HTML tags. So whenever we are class attribute is mentioned in any HTML tag, then this CSS will be applicable. And one condition, the condition is we are using the pipe symbol. The condition is that the class consists of a list of words and this word must be hyphen separated. So here you can see we are looking for the top and header. Within the header we have a hyphen symbol. So top is combined with the header word with the help of hyphen symbol, meaning is this CSS background should be yellow is applicable in h1 tag. Now second is the p HTML tag and the name of the attribute is class and the word is top text. So we are putting the hyphen here. So this top text is applicable. Top, we have mentioned only the top, but the text is attached with the top word with the help of hyphen. So this CSS background yellow is applicable in the second tag also. But this CSS is not applicable in the third tag because top and contain is not separated by hyphen, and top itself is not mentioned. Only if the only top is mentioned, then it is applicable. But we are putting one more word with the top and it is not hyphen separated, then this background color yellow of CSS will not applicable in the third tag. So it is applicable on the H1 tag, it is applicable in the P tag also. Next example is language attribute. Just remember, it is the first rule. First rule, only the name of the attribute is mentioned. So any div tag having language lang attribute, this CSS will be applicable, that is font weight equal to bold. So whenever we are using the div tag, if the language attribute is mentioned, we are not giving the value for the language. If you just write the language attribute, suppose we have written div and just write the language attribute, this CSS will be applicable. If you have written div tag and there is no attribute of the language, CSS is not applicable in this div tag. Now we can make the reverse of this first example. In this we are putting the not symbol. So any div tag where the language attribute is not mentioned, then we are applying the CSS font style equal to italic. So this second is applicable in this div tag because language attribute is not mentioned. So this first rule, this is the first rule, is applicable in the first div tag, and this is the second rule is applicable in this second div tag because language attribute is not mentioned in the second div tag and language attribute is mentioned in the first div tag, first rule. Now here the value is immaterial. Any value it can take it because we have not mentioned the value. We have mentioned only the name of the attribute. So value can be anything. And similarly here the value can be anything. Either even though there is no meaning of the value is here, if language attribute is not present, then this CSS will be applicable. Next is grouping selector. So instead of giving the CSS of separate HTML tags, we can group the HTML tags. Like I want to put the same CSS for the H1, H2, H3. So writing the same CSS for the H1 tag separately, similarly for H2 and H3, it is better to write in one line with the separated by comma. So we are grouping the selector. Here it is not an attribute selector, it is a HTML tags. So we are applying the CSS. It is an example. You can find out the difference between attribute selector as well as HTML selector. So this is the example of HTML selector because no attribute is mentioned here. Now we have the H1, H2, H3 and both are separated. All three are separated by comma. And this CSS will be applicable either in H1 or H2 and H3. Or you can say it is applicable in all H1, H2 and H3. Next is similarly you can group the ID selector also. You know very well, I assuming basic CSS you know. So we can create the ID with the help of hash symbol. This is hash symbol and the three ID selectors are mentioned with the same CSS. So applying the same CSS on ID contain, ID footer and ID supplement. And we are grouping this all three ID with the help of comma symbol. Now you can import the CSS also. To import the CSS, we can use import keyword and use @ symbol, and you can mention the URL. So whenever the CSS will be available in this URL, it will be downloaded and included in your file. You can use the parenthesis here. This is the second way of writing the import statement for importing the CSS. You just mention the URL. URL is the keyword. Then write the name of the URL here. So any CSS file will be imported in your file. The third is it is an example. You just write the import and mystyle.css. So it is using the first example. So with the help of import attribute, we can import the CSS also in your file. Next important part, we have three different type of CSS. One is inline, second is internal, and third is external. So there are three different type of CSS. If you are looking the purity of applying the CSS in these three types, so this one is the first purity, this is the second purity, and this is the third purity. So same is mentioned here. So when the inline CSS is present for a particular rule, then inline will be applicable. It will avoid the internal and external. If inline is not present, in that case it will apply the internal CSS for the same tag or same rule. If both inline and internal is not present, then it will apply the external CSS. So this is the rule. External CSS is the last priority. The first priority is for the inline CSS. So whenever we are applying these three different type of CSS in a file, remember its priority rule. Inline is the first, then internal is the second, and external is the third. Thank you very much. I hope you will find out useful this video and you will understand the attribute selector. Thank you very much.